Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Earth Game Podcast. I'm your host, Monica, and on this podcast, we talk about pretty much anything that can help you along your journey through this game that we call life here on beautiful planet Earth. So, we're nearing the end of the year, which means we're nearing the beginning of next year, which means that everyone wants to lock in on these New Year's resolutions. And I've been seeing so much stuff online about people saying start now, don't wait till the new year. It doesn't have to even be a new year for you to want to, start your goals and create things. And I am a 1000% believer and agreeer, and that's why I made myself a habit tracker. And what I really want to talk about today is number one, how to effectively and efficiently lock in habits. Number two, how to not burn yourself out, because I think that there's a very fine line between feeling like you have to be doing every single thing, every little habit to be successful in life, and honestly burning yourself out. And it does take some practice, some discipline and discernment to figure out, where you are on that spectrum. But I will say is that there is a version of you that has everything you want, that knows how to do the habits, that has the confidence, that has the body, that has the career, the finances, like whatever it is, there is a version of you that has that. And there's absolutely no reason why you cannot become that version of yourself. And I really, really believe that the habits that we do day in and day out, whether they're conscious or not, those accumulate and they make up the foundation of who we are. And so I just want to share what I'm doing, what my habit stack is for the best winter arc that I have ever seen in my life, and really sustaining these habits over time, not just for the first month of the year or the first 2 months or even the first 2 weeks, right? Because sometimes we start and then we fall off, and it's okay if you've started and you've fallen off, and maybe that's why you're like, I don't really want to set goals because what if I disappoint myself? And let me tell you right now, that sentiment right there is one of the biggest reasons why people don't have confidence, because they'll say that they want to go to the gym. They'll say that they're going to start a new, diet or nutrition plan. They'll say that they want to start a business or that they want to put more energy into their business, and then they don't do it and they don't follow through. And imagine what that's doing for your confidence. Imagine if you had a friend that said, hey, let's start going to the gym together and let's get fit together. And then every time you were supposed to go with them, they canceled on you. You would be like, they're the most flaky person ever. I don't trust them. And I'm just going to go to the gym on my own because they're not even going to show up anyways, right? That's what you do to yourself with your internal dialogue. When you say you want to do something, you establish a goal, and then you don't do it. You don't stick to your word. Your word to yourself is how you build confidence. And that's why people that you see that are very, very confident, it's because they do what they tell themselves they're going to do. And then once you do it, the feeling that you get is it's just unmatched, because you literally feel like you're on top of the world. So I want to go through my habits that I've decided first, because I I get into these seasons, right? And I think this is also really important when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself or unlocking new habits or something. Life has seasons, and so do we. And I do not do this 24/7, okay? I do not have a little habit tracker with every day of the month and all the habits that I want to accomplish 365 days a year. But I felt really called to do that for this month so that I could go into the new year with all of these habits on lock and really feeling very, very confident, because if you know me, I'm someone that loves to plan, to be very intentional with things, to set goals, to set standards for myself. And I look at a full year and I break it down depending on my goals. So that's why I felt really motivated this month to do this habit tracker. Now, do you have to do a habit tracker? No, absolutely not. For somebody like me, where I have so many things going on, I manage my own business, I manage my social media, I wear so many hats, I manage my team and my agents and my clients, and I'm literally always doing things in the best way, because I think that sometimes when you hear people that have a lot going on because they are doing extraordinary things in their life, it might sound very exhausting, but that's why I made that tracker, because I can automate and put these things on autopilot, and I know that they're going to make me feel incredible once I do them, but I don't have to necessarily think about doing it every single time. And I'll tell you why. So, number one thing, and I think the reason why the season of fall and especially winter is so big for people that want to like reinvent themselves or start their new goals. Yes, it's the end of the year and a new year ushers those resolutions and like that whole energy. But honestly, all of that to the side, you have to think that during these colder months, we have less sunshine during the day and we also have less warmth if you're in the northern hemisphere. So naturally, we might want to fall into a slump or sleep in or just really get off track. And that's not to say that you shouldn't rest, because you definitely should rest. Nothing in nature blooms all year. I've said this before, but like I said, there's a time and a place. And if you go too far in the direction of always sleeping, always taking it easy, not really like having a concrete foundation for what you want your life to look like and just falling into that, I guess, slumber, for lack of a better word, you can really fall into not a good place, whether it be mentally, whether it be physically, emotionally, because yes, winter is a time to slow down. However, if you slow too down, you're not going to be able to really feel like you are living in a purpose or that you're living intentionally. And that's the most important part when it comes to creating a life that you really love, creating a life that you are excited to wake up for every single day. And that's how I feel. And it's because I have instilled these things that I do habitually on a daily basis. You got to think the word habit and habitual are the same, okay? And if you feel overwhelmed of like, well, I don't want to have to do a million things a day because that just sounds exhausting, you have to remember that you are not yet used to holding the frequency of doing these habits. Okay? Think about the version of yourself. Let's use fitness as an example. Think about the version of yourself that is super in shape, super fit, on top of their diet and nutrition plan. They have systems for their life, whether it be a meal plan, whether it be a grocery list, whether it be the specific time they set aside to prepare meals for themselves, the workout, conditioning, strengthening routine, like all of those things are set in stone. Just because that seems like a lot right now doesn't mean that you can't work your way up to it. So if it feels exhausting to think like, I don't want to have to do all of these a million different things every day, just remember that you're building these habits because you're getting used to it. Just like when we were a child and our mom or our dad or whoever had to tell us, you got to brush your teeth in the morning and you got to brush your teeth before you go to bed. And you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to brush my teeth. Why do I have to brush my teeth? And then your person forces you to do it, right? It's the same thing. Now, as an adult, you're not thinking, oh my God, I have to brush my teeth again today. It's like, no, you get up and you just brush your teeth and you don't think about it twice. That's how it is with habits that are automated for you that you don't have to think about. And that's why I say that you're recalibrating your frequency, right? You're learning how to create these habits. And that's why they say consistency over, any sort of motivation, being disciplined regardless of how you feel, that's going to lock in your habits. Because yeah, I don't want to brush my teeth every day. If I'm being real, like I don't want to do all these things that I have to do every single day. Would it be easier to just sit around and loaf on the couch? Yeah, but how would I actually feel? I wouldn't actually feel better. I would just feel like I have no purpose, and nobody likes that. And it's actually very unhealthy to not have a purpose. People that live the longest lives, they have a purpose, and it makes them excited to get up in the morning. So that's my roundabout spiel of saying that if it seems like a lot, just remember you're doing little by little, okay? And another thing too, if you are somebody that has been in a constant overdrive for so long, or maybe you're just like a chronic overachiever, sometimes your habits are slowing down. Sometimes your habits are reading. every single day, something for pure enjoyment, or drawing or music or dancing or something that's not for any outcome besides your pure enjoyment, okay? That is also a habit, quote unquote, that you can work on that will bring you closer to that version of yourself that you want to be. So I'm going to go through my habits that I have chosen, and I actually have some for personal and some for business. I'm just going to go over the personal ones because I don't think the business ones are as exciting or relevant to everybody. So what I personally love to do is I love to have specific times of the day, pockets of time throughout the day where I will do specific habits, because it creates more automation for me. Don't have to think about it. Number two, if I don't do this, a lot of the time things will slip through the cracks. So, for example, what I mean, the first thing I do when I wake up is I do my meditation and visualization and like setting my intentions for the day. And that's one of my habits, is meditation and visualization. Another one of my habits on here is no phone for the first hour of my day. Now, what I mean personally for me is I don't get on social media. I don't check like emails or texts or anything. I am using my phone for listening to like a meditation on YouTube, and that's it. I'm not checking notifications. I'm not doing anything else. So it's really easy for me to not be on my phone when the first thing I do when I wake up is meditate and visualize and be grateful. And I already knock off two things. What else do I have in the morning? I have juice. I have lymphatic drainage. I have a workout, and I go for a walk. That's four more. Actually, five, because prayer is also on here, and I usually pray during my walk. So that's five other no, six. See how you can automate your life and like not even realize? I have 6 habits that get stacked. Coconut oil pulling happens when I'm doing my lymphatic drainage. So do you see how just before I even get into any work, quote unquote work for the day, I've knocked off so many habits? What does that do for me? I feel very confident because I did the thing that I said I was going to do. I also feel great from the actual things that I'm doing, and I feel like I'm taking care of myself, and I feel like I'm valuing myself, and I'm worth investing time and investing energy into doing these things for me. And I think that sometimes that also blocks people from taking their goals and habits seriously because it requires you to prioritize yourself. And sometimes we want to prioritize everything outside of ourselves, because when we take that moment to prioritize ourselves or check in mentally or do a workout, we start to have all these limiting beliefs, right? We don't want to look at these things. And that is stunting your growth more than anything. And by the way, the only rule that I have for all of these habits that I'm doing while I'm tracking them, this is perfect if you are like a perfectionist, or if you are somebody that's like a chronic overachiever and you really struggle to rest and do less. My only rule is that I cannot miss 2 days in a row for a habit. I can miss one day if I don't do something, totally fine. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to trip about it. But you just get right back on the next day. And it's so much easier when you do that to take the pressure off of yourself, instead of thinking, oh my God, I have to color in every single day. I have to do this habit every single day. You just think to yourself, okay, if I miss today, it's fine. I'll get back on it tomorrow. And that rule has changed so much for me because I no longer feel pressure to have to do everything. But I also recognize where I'm falling short, and then I can immediately fix it the next day. So that's my only really rule with my habit tracker. So what else do I have on here? I have supplements. The reason why I can't check off supplements in the morning is because I also take supplements before bed. So that gets done before bed. What else do I have on here? Did I say face yoga? I don't know if I said that, but that's another thing that most of the time I try to do it at the beginning of the day, because I know at the end of the day, honestly, usually I just want to go to sleep. So I make my evenings very chill, very no pressure. I'll just eat my dinner, watch some YouTube, or if I have like a training call for my business and I have to be on there, or I really would like to be on there, I get on there. And then I just clean up the kitchen, do my skincare and my oral routine, and then I go to bed. Most of my nights are very chill. So that's another thing, is when you are implementing these habits, you have to know yourself. If you're somebody that is not a morning person, because I am a morning person, that's why I love doing things in the morning. Maybe it does not serve you to get up and try and do all these things. Maybe your morning looks like doing 2 things, and then you can knock out the rest of your habits throughout the day. So you really get to know yourself through the process of setting goals and using habits to get you to those goals. So what else do I have on here? I have that I will get a protein shake in, a gallon of water a day, reading, and then the other 3 things on my list, those are for my enjoyment and relaxation. And I do also have like some, I guess, goals with it, but it's more so to get me out of thinking about work, thinking about my business, serving my team or serving my clients, and it's just pouring into what I enjoy. So it is practicing piano, practicing violin, and reading some sort of Polish book or some sort of grammar, because I never got official like Polish grammar education, and Polish is not an easy language, so I really want to have like the proper education. So those are 3 things on my list that are not for anything other than I want to do it. And you do need to have things in your day where it's literally just because you want to, not because you need any sort of outcome, right? So if you are the kind of person where it's really difficult for you to slow down, you're not going to necessarily immediately learn how to do it. Depending on your mindset, you can, because I don't think anything is impossible. I believe anything can happen at any moment to anybody at any time for any reason, regardless of any circumstance. That's what I believe. Now, if you're somebody that you're like learning on your journey, you got to remember to give yourself grace, because the purpose of building habits and maintaining that consistency and discipline, it's not to shame yourself or to feel guilty or to blame yourself. That's going to only do the opposite effect, and it's going to make you feel worse about yourself, even if you still do the habits. Okay? So you have to keep in mind, what kind of habits have I had so far in my life? Have I been overly extreme and doing way too much and I need to now rest? And you got to be honest with yourself. You really, really have to be honest with yourself, because it's your life, right? No one else can be honest with you like you can with yourself. But you have to really be honest. Have you been lazy? Have you been procrastinating? Have you been scared? Have you been not believing in yourself, not having faith? Like, all of these things make a huge difference when it comes to showing up for yourself in any way. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to building habits, discipline, consistency, all of that within this conversation, is how to learn when you need to push yourself or when you don't, when enough is enough. Because like I said at the beginning of the episode, there is a fine line that can come when you are in the personal development world, where you either push yourself way too hard and then you end up burning out, or maybe you're scared of doing that and so you don't push yourself enough, or you're so scared of any sort of outcome that you just don't do anything, right? And like I said, lazy, procrastinating, scared, fearful, whatever it is. There is a way that you can tell for yourself, even in the moment with any habit that you do, if it's something that you should push yourself for or not. For example, let's say that on your habits, you decided that you want to work out 5 times a week. Now, let's say that it's already been 5 out of the 7 days and you worked out 3 times. So you did your 3 out of the 5, but now you have 2 days left to get those 5 habits, and you would need to work out both days. But let's say that on day 6, you wake up exhausted, like absolutely exhausted, and going to the gym or doing a workout sounds like the last thing you would want to do. And then you're thinking, well, but I'm not going to get my habits done. Am I being lazy? Maybe I just need to push myself, but I should be resting. And like, you kind of don't know if you should push yourself or if you should give yourself a break. The best way to determine what to do in a moment like this is to ask yourself how you would feel after doing the thing. So let's say that you're in bed, you're like, I'm so exhausted, and you think about how it would feel going to the gym, and you're like, no, it feels like I would be even more exhausted. Then you take the day off and you rest. And it's okay if you didn't do your 5 days. If you take that sixth day to rest, then the next day you're going to wake up ready to go work out. And yeah, maybe you didn't go 5 days out of the week, but you went 4, and that is still amazing. That is still incredible. And you still got a lot of benefit out of it. And you learned how to trust your intuition and to actually rest when your body was asking for it. So that is one way. Now, other side of the spectrum, let's say that same situation, you are on your 5th day of the week, you've only worked out 3 times and you want to work out 5 times, and then you wake up on day 6 and you're like, oh, I could just lay here and not get up, and I wonder what everyone's doing on social media, and what if I just skip today? Like, I could just skip a day, right? In that instance, and again, you have to be honest with yourself, because if you are not honest in these times and you go against what you truly deep down, what your intuition knows is true, and you don't show up for yourself, you're going to feel so bad about yourself. It's going to wreck your confidence. The next time that you say that you want to do something, it's going to be hesitation. You're going to be like, okay, but are you actually going to do it? Are you actually going to show up this time, right? So in that moment, you're being honest with yourself and you're thinking, okay, but yeah, that's great, laying in bed and scrolling, that's cool. But what if I did go to the gym and then I have a bomb workout, right? And maybe you're not super exhausted, but you're just telling yourself you're tired and you're making all these excuses, right? But you think about the outcome and then you're like, no, you know what? I need to push myself. I said I was going to do 5 days out of the week. I have the strength and I'm going to do it. And then you get up and you do it. Okay? So those are 2 similar situations, different outcomes because of different circumstances where you need to listen to yourself. And the thing is that you are actually listening to yourself in both scenarios. Sometimes we think that, oh, if I push myself too hard, then I'm going to be extra tired or something. But there are moments where you're just feeling lazy and procrastinative. I don't even know if that's a word, but you're feeling like you want to procrastinate, right? And that's actually not listening to yourself if you would give in to laying in bed and scrolling. Because let's be real, if you have the energy to work out and you're put in your schedule to work out at the beginning of the day, but instead you decide to lay in bed and scroll, after about an hour and a half, you're going to be like, what did I just do? I could have literally went to the gym. You're going to be so frustrated for yourself the rest of the day. You're not going to trust your word. And then the next day, you're going to feel even worse because you could have been right on track, but you sabotaged, right? You sabotaged. Simply put, you sabotaged. So, and trust me, I've been there. I have done things where I realized I didn't actually listen to myself. And a really good example of where I pushed myself and it turned out really well for me was actually yesterday. So yesterday, it was raining since I had woken up and it was very off and on. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do as many habits as I can. If I can't walk right now, I'll just walk later. And there was like a couple times within the morning when I was doing all my different habits where it would kind of stop and I was like, okay, I can go for a walk. Like it's not raining super heavy right now, so I could just bust it out, right? I would get ready to go outside and mind you, it's not warm, so I had to get on layers and everything. I would get to the door and then it's raining heavy and I'm like, well, dang, now I can't go. And I could have gone to the gym and walked on a treadmill. I have a treadmill in my garage, but being outside is very, very important for me because I work from home. So I don't want to just go on a treadmill. I really wanted to go outside. So I was like, all right, it's okay. I'll just do whatever work I need to get done. And when there's another opportunity that it stops raining, I'll do the same thing. So again, it happened. It happened like 2 or 3 times to where I got to the door in all my gear. I had rain boots on and everything, and it was raining too hard for me to go outside. what did I do? I didn't give up. I kept working, and then I had my last meeting of the day, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's not raining. And for a split second, I was like, man, but I'm really tired. I really just kind of want to break. I've been on my computer all day. I didn't get to go into the sun. It was a gloomy day. And sometimes when it's gloomy, it already kind of pulls your motivation a little bit, and you just kind of want to cozy on the couch with a blanket or something. But I thought to myself, what's worse, going for a walk or not going for a walk? And not going for a walk was definitely worse. So what did I do? Got all my clothes on and I went for a walk. And it was amazing because I actually was getting a break. I actually was breathing in fresh air. Even though it was cloudy and gloomy, you have to remember that you're still getting sunlight, even though there's clouds. So I got a little bit of sunlight and I got to reflect on my day. And when I got home, I was so proud of myself that I didn't just write it off and not do it, because I could have written it off. But I knew that ultimately I would feel so proud of myself and so good if I would just do it. And sometimes in that moment when you're like this close from sabotaging yourself or just not showing up for yourself, it's very enticing to mentally talk yourself out of the thing, right? However, it's also very easy to do the other thing and to tell yourself, oh, just put your clothes on, put your boots on, and walk out the door. You have your headphones, you can listen to whatever you wanted. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, what am I going to do if I just stay at home? Scroll on my phone? I can scroll on my phone while I'm walking, right? And so that's what I did. So keep in mind that in those moments where you're that close to not showing up for yourself, it is just as easy to talk yourself out of doing something as it is to talk yourself into doing something. And if you need just a quick little recalibration or something, you just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just do it. You just do it. You just simply do it. You don't think. If you are thinking, you stop thinking and you act, okay? That is the best way to get out of laziness, procrastination, whatever mode you're in, and to discipline yourself. And I think that social media has really killed so many of our dopamine levels that sometimes that decision is so hard because the scroll patrol, the scroll hole has such a death grip on so many of us. And I personally, it's only, what's today, the 5th of December? And just 5 days into the month that I have decided to do all these habits, I've really seen how scrolling and being on social media really affects my ability to show up. Because when you don't have a noise from the outside world, the amount of clarity mentally that you have is insane, and being able to show up for yourself is so much easier. You decide like this. You take action like this. You're not overthinking, you're not worrying, you're not stressing, you're not comparing, you're just in your lane doing you. So, if I can urge anybody to take time in the morning, or maybe for you, it's better for your schedule before you go to bed, but at some point when it's related to sleep, right when you wake up or right before you go to bed, at some point, get off your devices, get off your phone, and just think about your life and think about what you want and think about the person that you want to become, and ask yourself, what do I need to do to show up for myself so that I can move in that direction? That's simply all it is that I'm asking. And just when you start implementing this, when you allow yourself to live your life instead of constantly being on your phone, I'm telling you, it's hard at first, and then you do it a few times and you're like, I don't even want to go on there. I don't even want to go on the apps. I don't even want to scroll, because my life is so much better and I'm working towards my goals and I'm so proud of myself and I'm succeeding and I'm seeing the results come in, because I'm telling you, it will happen fast. These little shifts that you make will create results very, very quickly. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm thinking, is there anything else that I wanted to share? But I think that's all. That's really all. So this is just your reminder. You can start at any time. Maybe you're watching this podcast episode after the new year or several months into the new year or even in a different year. It does not matter what day it is. Every day is a new day. Every day you can decide to start new habits and to turn your life around and to show up for yourself and to build that confidence, build that success, strength, resilience, grace, whatever it is that you want to build for yourself. And just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of learning to trust yourself and showing yourself that you can do anything that you set your mind to. If you guys want to keep following along with my personal habit tracker journey for this month, it's going to be, all my updates are going to be on my Instagram story. So highly, highly recommend to keep a close eye. I've been sharing updates not every day, but pretty much like every other day, almost every day. And I'm just so excited to go into the new year and not have to think about a lot of these things. A lot of these things that I have on my habit list are already automated, but it's like another layer, because right now I have decided to wake up earlier because it's, less sun and it's colder. I've decided to wake up earlier. And even if it's cold, I told myself, you're still going on a walk. There are no excuses here. And I'll just bundle up and I'll be fine. I'll be totally warm. So because I've decided to wake up earlier, it's just kind of shifted my day a little bit. And even the habits that I have that are automated, I am stacking new ones that are not automated. And I'll tell you guys right now, my biggest thing that I really have to be diligent with is coconut oil pulling, because it will just slip my mind. And that's the thing, is when you're building new habits, sometimes it will, and that's okay. Again, as long as you get back up, you have the intention to do it, and then you do it. That's really what matters the most. So, anyhow, I'm excited to see where this journey takes me of my habit tracking and just being diligent this month. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Earth Game Podcast, and I will see you next week for another episode.